How does the jumper feel?
The jumper feels amazing. The jumper, as we call it in New Zealand, sweater in the UK and most other countries. But it's going to be, even it's the height of summer, it's going to be very hard to get this jumper off me right now. It'll be a wrestle soon. There's a lot of talk, and thankfully so, about regenerative farming. And if I can give, and there's many definitions, but if I can give my version, is that it's based on nature. So what nature has done and perfected over millions and millions of years is created balance, and it's used diversity, so diversity of species, to get balance and create natural solutions to the ebb and flow of the environment we live in. And I think that's what regenerative farming is here. We have the lush diversity that you don't need sprays, you don't need chemical fertilizers. You have that diversity and that balance through a very natural system. Soil is so important, and it's in many ways it's the forgotten part of a farming system, what's under our feet. We so often concentrate about what's above the ground, we often forget about what's below the ground. The United Nations issued a report around 4 years ago that said if the planet can sequester carbon into our soil at a level of 0.04%, 4 over 1,000, we would bring carbon back to what it was before the industrial age. So that's a massive contribution that soil can make. In our testing here at Lake Hawea Station, even in a year, we've sequestered into our soils 1% in soil carbon. So that's a far bigger number. So ideally, we can take that type of system to many other soils around the world, and we can play a huge role in the climate crisis. The key practice for us in regenerative farming is really around our pastures, so multi-species pastures. So for decades, you know, when I grew up, it was all about monocultures or duocultures. Ryegrass and clover here in New Zealand is a prominent pasture type. So what we're doing is we're planting pastures now that have at least 30 seeds. And so every plant plays a role, not just in feeding the livestock, but in feeding the soil. So for too long, agronomy has been about chemistry. Regenerative agriculture is about biology. We're starting to look at bacteria, about fungi and their relationship and the balance of bacteria and fungi, rather than what you need to pour onto that soil in a chemistry form. And we're finding that with less inputs, we can actually produce more. And that's been the really cool thing about regenerative farming. Right now, we've put in a lot of regenerative pastures, multi-species pastures. They're going to be peaking in about May or June. So right now, it's pretty lush, it's pretty warm. Come May or June here, it's very cold, very frosty. The ground's almost frozen. So by that time, we're going to have some pastures that are going to be full of lush. It's going to be like a salad bar for the stock, and it's going to help them get through the winter. So for many years, and in a system I grew up with when I was a young'un, we'd all plough the soil and then we'd till it, and we'd try and get it to a very fine form, because that would allow new plants to get root structure through the soil much easier. But through regenerative agriculture, you don't use ploughs to do that, you use the plants. So that's actually the role of a sunflower, for instance. That root structure is creating pathways, liquid carbon pathways, sequestering that carbon, getting that organic matter down into the soil. It's creating pathways for other plants to follow. So you don't need massive tractor hours when you've got a plant like a sunflower who's building those pathways through the soil for you. Farming is a tough livelihood. It's relentless. It's in your face every day, and there are so many dynamics, many of which you can't plan for. Yet farmers see themselves now perhaps in a spotlight like they've never seen themselves before. You know, the pressure is greater. But rather than potentially seeing that as a problem, I think what we need to see this as an opportunity. So extensive farming systems like this are actually climate positive. We sequester more carbon here than we emit. So therefore we have an active role in changing the route that this planet is currently on. So perhaps amongst all that pressure, if we can see the opportunity, I hope that farmers can move to be seen potentially as villains, ideally to heroes in the climate battle.